Good day, liberators. I'm going to start a series discussing history from my perspective. I believe that history is crucial for us to understand. I don't expect you to live in the past, but history is always bound to repeat itself. So if you know the history, you can predict what can happen in the future, and that is why history is very important for us. There's an old Chinese proverb saying, if you don't know where you're going to, any road will get you there. And in the same sense that if you don't know your history, you can just keep on living and just get over it as it comes along. But if you know history, you will most probably be put in a position to estimate what is going to happen. And that is why, in many senses, I can estimate what is going to happen more than many others, because I love history and I like South African history. I have gone on a journey to take my family, my daughters and my wife, to historic places in South Africa, and we like it. It has become a hobby for us now, whereby we go to all these historic places and museums, and we get more information about our own history and the world's history. I'd like to start off discussing probably the most important political figure and person in South Africa's history. No, it's unfortunately not Nelson Mandela, it's in fact Jan Smuts. Because many of the things that is currently happening are directly linked to Jan Smuts. And let me just give you a summary of how important this guy was. Well, if your statue is standing on Parliament Square in front of the British Parliament, you know that Jan Smuts was very important to the British. If your statue or your head sculpture is currently protected by the current government at the Union buildings, they literally fenced it off so that no one can go and touch it from the public or desecrate it. It's standing on the western side of Union buildings, and it's being protected by the current government. So if his sculpture is protected by the current government, you know that he's very important to the current regime's government. If your street, or if the most important road together with Louis Botha Avenue is called Jan Smuts Avenue in Johannesburg, and after 27 years both these roads have not been changed. I will get to Louis Botha on another occasion, but importantly now, Jan Smuts, if it hasn't been changed as yet, you know that the current regime is seeing Jan Smuts as a very important person. If you are regarded as one of the top 3 scholars of the University of Cambridge ever in history, coming up with names like Milton and Darwin as the other 2, you know that you are very, very important in the science and academic circles as well. If you have written the book about holism, a term which is regularly used today in the new world order scenario, and you are the one who invented the name, you must know that you are very important. If you were the one who masterminded the creation of the League of Nations in 1917, 1918, which was the predecessor of the United Nations, which also have been very actively incorporating the works of Jan Smuts. And Jan Smuts even wrote the first preamble to the United Nations. You must know that the world regards him as a very, very important person. And let us not forget that he was the one who established the Royal Air Force of the British way back in 1917. And strangely enough, he was also the one who masterminded the evacuation of the Kruger millions of the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek, the South African Republic. Everyone is still searching for the millions, the Kruger millions up to today. They think that when it was put on the train somewhere in Mpumalanga around Mashadu Dorp, the millions were buried somewhere in a cave or someplace there. Well, my opinion is that most probably you will find the Kruger millions in the safes of the Bank of England. And if the president of the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek gave you the nickname of Skelm Jannie, you must know that this guy was a Tsotsi from the beginning. And let me just quickly explain what happened. That after Jan Smuts came from the Cambridge University in 1894, he started working for Cecil John Rhodes, who was the founder of Anglo-American and De Beers. And Cecil John Rhodes was one of the best, richest people in the world at that point, if not the richest person. So he started working for Cecil John Rhodes, and he became his personal companion. Cecil John Rhodes never married, and Jan Smuts became the person constantly seen in his company. Business purposes, most probably. And then after the Jameson raid, which was masterminded as well by Cecil John Rhodes, Jan Smuts apparently got very angry, and then he decided, no, I'm not going to work for you anymore, Cecil. I'm going to become the Attorney General of the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek at the tender age of 25. Yes, he became that important position, or he got that very important position at the tender age of 25. And then you must know also that this guy is very important, and even this Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek who saw this, Jan Smuts was a British at that stage, coming from the Cape Colony, and they just invited him. Oh, you know what, you don't like Cecil John Rhodes and the British suddenly anymore. Now we are making you the Attorney General in the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek. People, our history has been full of deceit, dishonor, people that you trust taking us for a ride, and not only me as a white person, but for all of our people in South Africa. This concerns each and every one of you. And now suddenly, when we see the importance how Jan Smuts was key, and he was also, I must just add, that he was also a member of the legal fraternity. He was a member of the King's Council. So, just like many others, which I will discuss in the following videos, many others, leaders, ministers in South Africa who were members of the legal fraternity. And now we are expected to trust this person. Well, let me tell you what happened when I went to his home together with my family when we visited there. About 7 odd years ago, when I visited, there was a exhibit of Jan Smuts' influence in promoting the state of Israel. And people, I don't have any problem with the Jewish people. I am also from the Abrahamic faith. I'm a Christian, so I'm also a Semitist. So in that respect, I really don't have a problem with Jewish people. I have many Jewish friends who I love, but the state of Israel is something very, very contagious, very volatile subject at this moment in time. And Jan Smuts was the one who assisted Weizmann. I've seen 7 years ago, I saw the letters in this exhibition that were exchanged between Jan Smuts and Weizmann, and later also with Ben-Gurion, about how they thanked him, Jan Smuts, for his contribution to creating the state of Israel. Jan Smuts was a dedicated Zionist. He truly believed that there should have been a state for the Israeli people. And but as we know that the Palestinian people are also now saying, but that was our ground, that was our land. I don't want to get into that issue, but Jan Smuts was a founding member of advancing the ideas of creating the state of Israel. He helped a lot with the creation of it, and also the legal aspects thereof, and even streets in Tel Aviv and all around Israel have been named to him, and even a kibbutz. So even the people of Israel really honored him as well. But that exhibition, suddenly those letters were gone when we got there a few months back. So I went to the curator and I asked him, what is going on? Where are those letters? And then he said that it was removed from display because after the fire in the Rhodes Library in Cape Town, there was an instruction by government that all the important artifacts and historic letters and documents had to be taken out of exhibition and stored and archived and kept in a safe place, and then also scanned so that it can be preserved. And at that stage, the students of the university, the Technical University of Tshwane, were busy. They were tasked to scan the entire library. And people, you must see this library of Jan Smuts. He was such an intellectual person. he wrote many books, especially he coined the term holism. Holism is a term that is constantly used today in the New World Order and in what is currently happening. He wrote the book. He was the one who termed the phrase or the term, the word holism and what it is. Go and read that book. It's when you start reading it, it's so highly intellectual that you don't want to say that you actually don't understand what is in it, but you just to be part of the clique. You say, oh, yeah, no, it's a very nice book, but it's really something that needs to be read by intellectual scientists to understand. And when he termed the relativity theory as well, he discussed the relativity theory of Einstein in the book as well. And he even wrote to Einstein, and Einstein wrote back and said that he is one of the very few people in the entire world who actually knows what relativity is. But in any event, these students were busy scanning these books, and they were told, I've interacted with the students, and they were told that they had to go through each and every book in the library, and they had to specifically look at where Jan Smuts made markings and notes in those books. They were very much interested in his own notes. And so at this stage, we know that the moment when libraries start to catch fire, you know that we are moving into an era where history is bound to change if we are not careful. We have seen it happening in South Africa, where our own history have been changed and a new narrative have been developed to feed this whole keep us ignorant stage in our development as a nation. Now, yes, they are busy looking at Jan Smuts. They are trying to protect these books, and I will not be surprised, people, that there's going to be a fire there soon. I will not be responsible, but if they are scanning these books and getting it on a database, and suddenly these letters that were between the creators of the State of Israel and Jan Smuts have been removed from exhibition, then you know that something is going to happen, and that is not just something coincidental. People, I hope that I have explained more about Jan Smuts and his influence in South Africa. And the fact that Jan Smuts was a British from the beginning up till the end. He never saw the creation of the Republic of South Africa. So he died as a Chancellor of the University of Cambridge on the 11th of September 1950, under the Union of South Africa still belonging under the Crown. People, I will discuss more important matters, and where there are links with Jan Smuts again, I will share it with you. Keep subscribe to this channel of mine or ours, and like this video, please, and also ring the bell to get notifications in future. Have a blessed day.